Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 1 of my Owarimonogatari reaction series. Back here again with more Monogatari Monday, everybody. So, as I alluded to last week, I was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place about what to watch next, whether it be Owarimonogatari or Koyomi-monogatari. I was a little bit all over the place there, but I've come to the answer that democracy wins out in the end. It's very hard to disrespect a bunch of different people that really wanted this order over the other order. So I think pleasing the most people possible is the best route to go about this. And yeah, in a YouTube video setting where you guys can fill me in on anything I'm potentially missing by going with this order, then I think we should be relatively okay, I think. Yeah, but last week fucked me up. It was a really great episode. I really enjoyed it. It's probably standing out as one of my favorite episodes upon reflection. It's ridiculous, frankly. But yeah, we're excited to jump in again today. The caveat being that this one episode is 48 minutes, so look forward to that. Bunker down, I guess. Tuck yourself in, get yourself a snack. We're going to be here a while. But before we do any of that, we should have a little bit of a look at the YouTube comments, of course. First comment here by John Bueno, just filling in a bunch of stuff that I missed and a bunch of extra context from that mindfuck of an episode. And yeah, reading through this casually before, I thought it was filled with some at least interesting tidbits, let's say that. So first point here, the act of lifting Ononoki's skirt was a way to ease the tension, similar to Hanakawa in Neko Kuro, diverge her attention from something he doesn't want to face. I forget the Neko Kuro one. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah. Of course, he pushes her skirt up from memory. Because she's got a gauze on her face. Yeah, I remember. Okay, cool. Yeah, that is very similar to that. Araragi's... it's a very Monogatari thing to do, disguising a overtly perverted sexual act as some kind of character development. But it works. It worked really, really well in this scene, so shout-outs to that. This part of the comment here goes into how... whoever's planning this thing, Augie, has set this up very similar to Kizumonogatari, a situation where, Araragi had a pretty bad time. Let's try to mirror that a little bit. So we have a specialist in Kizumonogatari, Guillotine Cutter, kidnapping Hanakawa in order to lure Koyomi out. They confront each other and ultimately Kiss Shot kills and completely eats him, a human, causing Araragi to flip and start hating himself for saving her. Cool. That's well established now. I forgot this part last week. I forgot the part where he walks in and then she's like eating him. That was pretty funny in Kizumonogatari, actually. Now back to the episode we watched last week. Tiori Tadatsuru kidnaps Kambaru, Araragi sisters, to lure Koyomi out. They confront each other and ultimately Yotsuki kills him, a human, by completely turning him into smithereens. That's where this situation was perfect for distancing Koyomi and Ononoki, because it's exactly like something we've seen before. It's almost too perfect, too proper, that it's too suspicious. It doesn't feel real, right? And because it doesn't feel real, all the characters see through it immediately, and it makes the episode so fucked up to watch, right? Because they already know each and every step of the plan, and are just simply following it, right? Similar to how we've seen Monogatari arcs played out in the past. There's some kind of commentary there about, cyclical stuff, repeating yourself, trying to be too perfect, practicing, like all these other themes coming into it, right? That's why it's so amazing. That's why that episode's really, really good. This was the interesting part too. Tadatsuru had no way to refuse the job. He specializes in immortal aberrations and doesn't let them off the hook, like Kaganui told us in episodes prior. Also, there's the background grudge going on between him and Kaganui, which we talk about a little bit. He was perfectly cast. He didn't want to go against his own principles, right? By seeing through it. But in the process, he's kind of like, this is really, really perfect. This is weird. Again, he was a slave to his ideals. He could not be proper, right? And he needs somebody potentially like an Oshino Meme to step in and be unproper. And Yotsugi had two main reasons for killing: to shock Araragi and remind him that it's not good to end up as a monster. A little bit of a lesson that he's teaching, that she's teaching him, of course. Because of course, selfless Araragi, who wants to step in and help people. You shouldn't, or you'll end up like me and you'll kill people, right? During the episode, we also see him addressing her as a human, and that's no good. If he continues to do that, that darkness from Owarimonogatari may return again. And yeah, this confused me last week, the whole Yozuru specializing in living aberrations and Tadatsuru specializing in dead ones, and then how does that work with the Ononoki situation? I reread it when I was editing, and I'm like, oh, that makes a whole lot more sense. There's also Jian bringing in the Nisei Monogatari stuff, where it was meant to be ironic and hypocritical how she's pursuing, the martial artist sister and the immortal aberration other sister when they're kind of the exact same thing, right? And yeah, amazing how this arc is perfectly crafted to be proper to the point where the characters already know that it's proper and know that it's kind of weirdly proper, right? That's what makes it so special. And yeah, just shouting at the episode length for this week so I don't mess up, but I think it's one file, so I should just watch all the way through. Protector of Ruby, next comment here. Absolutely love the episode, one of my favorites. The orgy scene is wonderful. That is another thing upon editing that I looked back at. The way it's directed is insanely good. I should I should try to look at episodes more thoroughly from that perspective sometimes, right? Like, hey, the craft here is amazing, and I don't talk about it enough. And yeah, everybody being nonchalant, the casual realization of Ononoki that the final boss is right there. And yeah, we get to hear with a posed look one last time, just a little bit of fan service there. Simon, not enough Senjugahara fascination. It was a really weird scene last week. Well, I say that, but I went back and it kind of reinforced a lot of Araragi's good points back to him, right? He has a good support network now and he can make his way out of these things. There's been tangible change from Kizumonogatari to now in the form of a Senjugahara to pull him out of such stupors and that kind of thing. He's in a healthy relationship. It's nice, right? People find her cute. I find her kind of scary, but that's okay. We're allowed to have different opinions. Alexander Henriquez with the next comment here. There's a line I remember from Neko Kuro's last episode, where Araragi says to Hanakawa basically, don't use misery as a springboard to growth. And it's the similar thing that we're talking about with Orgi in the start of the last episode. He doesn't want to grow from failing, he wants to grow from succeeding. I don't know how realistic that is, but again, he's the protagonist. He can do what he wants. And yeah, contrast that with Orgi, who's literally like using mistakes and all these kind of things, failures to, belittle Araragi and she doesn't like him very much, right? And that's part of what she's trying to do there. And yeah, bringing up a short that doesn't have anything to do with Tsukimonogatari, but bear with him. So Araragi and Senjugahara go on a date and eat cakes, and Senjo explains to him that girls don't get fat, girls only grow. And you could consider this a little cheesy joke based on the whole crab weight thing that she had going on before, but Alexander's taking a little bit more of an earnest take, right? Everything that happens to you, not matter good or bad, makes you grow and gain as a person. And pulling this into everything at the end, Suki's message may be that, hey, you can grow both ways, Araragi's stance to want to grow from only good things, and Orgi's stance to grow the proper way through retribution and that kind of thing, right? The right answer may be Senjugahara's cake answer. Just eat cake. That's a good answer. But also, grow from both. And yeah, that's his 2 cents. Great to see you losing your mind. Yeah, it was a mind fuck last week for sure. Saint Yu, the production quality in Suki is second only to Kizu. Yeah, especially shoutouts to that scene with Orgi at the start of episode 4 there. Just spectacular. So good. Episode 4 just hits different from Jaramero. It most certainly does. It's almost like scary. It's like a scary episode. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy myself, but it was interesting. Next comment here by Kramer. Araragi's constant obsession with heavenly retribution is a point worth noting. So when talking to Kaganui about the kidnapping thing of his sisters in Kambaru, he immediately points to some kind of heavenly retribution for his misuse of the vampire powers or something like that, right? Like some divine punishment on him for saving people, which is weird. As we know from Kizu, he has a low sense of self-esteem and would sacrifice himself without any hesitation for others because of it. The repeated separations from his friends further exacerbate his low self-esteem. He's being cut off by everybody, he feels a little bit lonely. Orgi breaking through Araragi's monologue wasn't something Monogatari had done before. Previously, it was only one-way dialogue from another character. So, okay. Somebody explains this later as well, I forget if it was the Discord or later in the comments here, that what I've been thinking are character thoughts are just like missing pieces of dialogue that are in the text, but sometimes aren't. Like they're internal thoughts sometimes, but they're also just missing dialogue other times, right? The Augie thing was different. Augie was breaking through Araragi's monologue and saying something that was weird. So that was another weird fourth wally mindfuckery thing that we saw. It also had a really harsh, like it was like a black screen and there was like cracks everywhere and it was cutting every which way and it was very intimidating, right? Feels like somebody breaking through the production, breaking through the story. And a little bit here about novel order and release order. Most fans prefer release order because it's less randomized and more chronological, and some people don't like plot twists. I thought that I would have a pretty good grip on like plot twists and where stuff goes because of my timeline, and that's why most people were advocating for the other way, where most people experience it the other way, so they just want to see that again. Either way, I put it to a poll, and Owari won, so unfortunately for everybody that wanted it the other way, it is what it is. Last comment here today by Hot Wheels Kid. If you think the skirt lifting scene is weirdly poignant, then you should read the novel of the bath sequence, because it's one of the wildest meta moments in the series. Shame almost all of it got cut from the show. But yeah, I mean, they cut it. It's missing in the adaptation. Apparently, it's really good. So yeah, maybe if I go through the novels at one point or another, I'll get to see that scene in all its glory. P.S. The text that flashes on screen isn't necessarily character thoughts. It's just lines from the book that weren't voiced. There hasn't been any POV switching. Yeah, okay, cool. So let me break this down. So it isn't POV switching around in Monogatari, what we just watched, right? Normally, when we get the text flashes, it's POV character thoughts, right? Normally. What happened in Monogatari is we're just sometimes flashing on screen pieces of text that just aren't adapted, right? Which is fair enough. But the Augie thing was very, very different. It was a notable break in that sequence. Okay, interesting. One to follow for sure later. So not really that much to say on the old recap front. I guess because I don't know where this is in the timeline, it's very difficult to say. But going forward from where we just were, which from memory was February, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, February 13th is where Monogatari starts. So from anywhere after February, you have Araragi unable to use his powers without risking turning into a vampire. You have Yotsugi potentially being closer to Araragi and others, but maybe a difference in opinion there based on the effects of Monogatari. You have Augie still behind the scenes trying to do some fuck shit, trying to put wedges between Araragi and other people. We still don't really know why. I'm speculating some kind of jealousy thing, but I explained that last week. Guy Nezuko still being weird. What else? It's really hard to know where we're jumping off without knowing the characters involved and what the arc's going to be. So I vote for just jumping right in. Oh, one more thing though. I did look up Owari, and Owari's got a very, very simple definition. It simply means, let me get it up here. End, ending, close, conclusion, end of one's life, death. So that's just from Japanese dictionary, so it could be completely incorrect, but the kanji seem to line up with what's on my title. So that doesn't bode well, the whole ending of one's life, death part. But yeah, the end makes sense, considering from here you have Owarimonogatari, Koyomi Owarimonogatari second season, and Zoku Owarimonogatari. That's it. That's all of Monogatari done. Super ending. I wonder what Zoku means, but I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So yeah, just chill stuff before I jump into episode 1 here. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back, and the Discord, join Discord, love Discord. And yeah, jumping into episode 1 of Owarimonogatari right now. Rightio, got episode 1 of Owarimonogatari up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen there. Of course, it's very dark and it's very light in the background, so the lighting isn't spectacular. Hopefully, this arc isn't particularly dark, but we will see. Callgirl subs, picture-in-picture in the description below for your viewing pleasure. And yeah, just going to jump right in with a 3, 2, 1. Rightio. 3, 2, 1, go. Did that say Augie? I don't know. Oh, that's very specific. Identity. That definitely looks like Orgy. I'd never heard about this before, but sure. Okay, we're very similar to Suki in that style. Okay, transfer student. I know who that is. Okay. Okay. Zero. But you're bothering with it. She assimilates everything? That doesn't bode well. Oh, good. I haven't done math in ages. Okay, alright. They're looking out for me, that's good. Interesting. A story of absolutes. What are the little cats? Hmm. We are unequal. Okay. We're taking the scope out like a lot. Okay, what is this song? Like we're like galactic scope. There's a lot of black and white, huh? Think about it. Absolutes. Oh, she's cool. Okay, I'm an Augie stan. I forgot what have an opening and ending, actually. I've never really talked about it, but I don't really love the sleeves. This is almost giving me Hanakawa opening vibes with all the math stuff, right? Whoa. Descent Black? No, Decent Black. Okay. Again, this song's really good. The instrumental in particular. Hey, yo, got a detective hat on. Uh, okay, that's great. Can't wait to talk about that. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, Augie formula. Augie arc? Question mark? This episode looks insane. Why are you trying to get out so hard? You're locked in? Glued shut. This looks like an episode of like Cyber Chase. What's going on here? Yeah, I mean, are you responsible? Is that what we're alluding to? Oh, thankfully. Okay. Is that a pen on a chalkboard? Yeah, I didn't think it was either. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. What? It's about to be. Oh. Oh, that's bad. I just thought there wasn't a second hand. Okay. I've got to do the math to find out where it is in the timeline. Oh, hello. Okay, so this is the introduction to Augie. Okay, gotcha. Back in the timeline. Isn't she adorable? Also, no, she's not. She's scary. She's got dead eyes like a fish. Oh, I'm good at that. Oh, um, yeah. Hello. Yep, I know. I'm aware because of the way we've told the story. Number 4. What was that? The blown out windows, like with the light, like they're still very isolated right now, right? What is? No, it's looking into your dead eyes. Okay. Oh, what were you talking about then? How so? Oh, a hidden room. Yeah? I don't really care. That's what I would have said anyway. Excuse me? Okay. You're being weird. It would, if it was a mystery novel, which it is. Okay. Ooh, look at the shadows. This is giving me like Hyoka vibes. I don't know why. Maybe it's like the kind of solving the mystery side of it, and it's like classroom setting. What are you doing? Augie's a real like gremlin. Okay, sure. Oh, and then we get trapped in here? I see. Gotcha. So we're in like an aberration room. That's why the background's so weird. I don't know, you tell me. Oh, very good at mathematical equations, I was going to say, but sure. Okay. The rip there. Not really. I just thought it was random. Yeah, but why? Yeah, you guys got to study. That'll solve it. What was that? Okay. Study sessions aren't for smart people. I'm just telling you. Oh, wait. Okay, so that's what that is. Like thinking back to first year? That's like before Araragi was the Araragi we know, right? Yeah, take a load off. Definitely listen to what she says. It's not like she's like planned this whole thing. Hey, come look at this secret room I found, Araragi. Okay. No, I just picked it. It is like almost the middle. Oh, okay. This is where you used to sit, yeah? Creature of habit, potentially. No, that's exactly correct. But I think you also know that. Okay. I don't believe you. Did he? I didn't remember. I I mean there's something familiar about the room, right? For you? Okay. We've gone from a very like rigid style to like a very like squishy. It's like you're sinking, right? Drowning, even. We're talking about water with Kambara. I remember that. Okay. To the darkness. No, but you're clearly pushing me in a direction that you want me to be pushed into. What a creep, honestly. Remembered nothing. Okay. All right. It's like your classroom from your first year, right? Because you used to be here. And it's just before you go home, so it's like your little purgatory. I'm not. No, that's somebody else. All right. Are we back? Nope. Well, it didn't before. Okay. July 15th. Okay. That's a very apt description. Okay. And what happened? Oh, a trial? A class trial? Oh, the center. Right. Think about it. Oh. Oh. Okay, that philosophy that he started Kizu with, right? Yeah. In Kizu. True. Yeah, what happened? A little bit more description would be nice. Yeah, probably. That's what I think they're alluding to. I also like just met you today. Isn't this like major red flags like immediately? Not always. No, not always. Monogatari? The famous line when they said Monogatari? Oh, excuse me? How so? But what did they do? Oh yeah, you used to be like a good kid, right? This is giving me Nadeko vibes during Otori when she had to do something in front of her class. Okay, who was you? Sodachi. How much? Whatever you say. Went right over my head, but sure. Okay. Okay. Araragi seeing other students is kind of mad. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Not just text. Oh, great transition there. The whole cast was there. Shut up. Indeed. Has been eons. Okay, there was some Japanese thing there too. Indeed. But for what? I agree. I think this is true. Indeed. Okay, you weren't alerted. You had no mates. No, I'm not alone now. Okay. What? You're controlling this a lot, huh? Alright, what's the deal? Of what? This is like Dead Us, like a class trial. Like, what is happening? Oh. Oh, yeah, I forgot you guys shared a class. Okay. Oikara. Oikura? Sure. Ooh. That's actually pretty big. But I mean, they also studied, which is a correlating factor with the higher score. Maybe that is a bit suspicious, 20. How so? Bro, I don't care. Cheat on the test. I'd be saying that and trying to leave. No one cares. I'm sorry. Ooh. Why was he the moderator? Because he had no friends and he was an equal arbitrator. Arbiter? I don't know. Ooh, yeah, math exam's interesting with Augie, right? Interesting. You nerd. That makes no sense to me, but sure. What a nerd. I actually did really well in school, but whatever. I'm going to call him a nerd still. That's funny. Oh no, not 99. Wasn't the first like formula that we showed in the episode like Euler's formula or whatever as well? Shut up. Okay. Okay. What is the violence? We need to solve the culprit. Oh no. How? This is very interesting, right? Because we don't know any of the characters, so why does a culprit matter? Unless it's somebody that we know. I see. And that's why it's got some weird, like, it's all very rigid and math like, right? Well, this frame rate. Why? Why does he care? Spotlight. Look at it. Okay. Time to solve the mystery. Oh, I see. And then that'll be a halfway point, and there'll be another episode after this. Gotcha. But we get to see an ED early. Okay. Sure. Sayonara no Yukue? Yep, same art style. Big old orgy. Huh. We're keeping a focus on this new character, huh? Maybe I actually do need to remember her name. Oikura? Oikura. Alright, we're on tracks. Something I'm looking at a lot for is there's so much mathematical stuff happening everywhere. Like rigid angles, like weird structures, but everything's so like perfect, you know, proper even. This is giving me there's the ED where they're in like the submarine, right? It's very similar. I still feel none the wiser as to like what Orgy even is. This ED is kind of gorgeous. Hello? Look at the background. On like a bike, on a cart, on a track, over the water. Sure. Alright, next episode. Yo, I got baited. What the hell? Oh, hang on. Let me show you something. This is what the end of my VLC file says right now. Right? It certainly wasn't that length. That's very funny. I guess I'll watch another episode. They've been telling me it's a two-parter, so I'm just going to do both analyses back to back, if that makes any sense. So instead of breaking down this episode right now, I'll break down 2 episodes at once. Let's put it that way, right? Because I think I'm supposed to do that anyway. All right, so sorry for anybody that was confused by that and confused me as well. Next episode up here, and I'm just going to hit play, picture in picture, Kogo subs, all that jazz. Just gonna give it a 3, 2, 1. Right here. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 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 okay. I didn't really think they would show that many names. The 19 that attended the study session. Oh, sure. Because you had a high score. Okay, scissors, Senjugahara. I see. So that's pretty definitive proof, right? Well, clean up after yourselves. You guys are bad criminals. Glasses boy. Okay. Why aren't you leading this thing? I agree. It seems like really stupid. Oh, that's very specific. Okay. What happened? Led astray or went astray? What did you do? What? Okay. Sure. Care to explain? I don't see it all. Look at this snake person. I've got a feeling I know what it is. I don't believe you, but sure. What did we find? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Okay, at least got a little bit of time here to explain what I think happened. Well, based on what I know about Araragi and his selflessness, right? He would see everybody getting frustrated at the situation and just say that I was the one, sorry, and then just like disregard everybody else in the class because of that. If that makes any sense, right? Like, let everybody else have the convenience, take the fall for somebody else. I don't know. Is that worthy of despair? That's my guess. I don't know. It's tough to do a mystery like this when the characters are just names. They don't have designs. Like, I could not tell you a single character's name that doesn't have a design. You know what I mean? I'm a visual learner like that. I like the clock there going right to the right point, though. How weird was that VLC thing? That was crazy. So I got baited by VLC into thinking an episode was longer than it was. Yeah, again, got to talk about this. It's very interesting. In context with Monogatari as a show, as a piece of media. They sound so like adult for being 16-year-olds. Whoa, he's going to the moon. Oh, it's turning violent. Look at all the atoms clashing. Shut up. You're 16. This is the exact stupid shit that they would complain about though, right? So mean. The test couldn't have been that hard. Summer? Okay, Senja. This is a great sequence, by the way. I can't. You put me in this position. This is like public speaking in school, like manifested. It's just hell. Ooh, it sounds like somebody I know. I don't. This cannot continue? Should have been wearing my Yorha shirt. Just leave. Are you the police? I'm gonna leave. Oh, okay. What is happening? All right. I mean, that got everybody back into place. That's good. Okay, that sounds. Oh God, because I did a democratic vote in my Discord. Oh no, think about it. Democracy is corrupt. Okay, I mean that was what I would have assumed would have happened. Okay. Oh well, that backfired. Sometimes democracy fails. Oh, okay, that's really bad. Weird. Somebody's covering her attendance. Oh, okay, this is an interesting twist on it. I was still right though. The culprit needed to be somebody. Culprit. There needed to be somebody that we knew, right? Yeah. Why would she plan the meeting other than to frame you? Oh, that's dramatic. Justice, huh? No such thing. Damn, he became woke. This is so funny because he's right. But coming to this realization is such a teenage thing. Thank you. Okay, that's not that's not foreboding at all. I mean, we're still not out of the situation, right? I agree. Yeah, the story isn't ready for you to feel better yet. Okay, potentially. Oh, how would you know? I agree. What, you don't feel right about it? It's all very individualistic, yeah? Okay. Proportionate reasons. Okay. Do I? Do I? Do I? Yeah. Gone over my head. Shut up. No. Everybody stop talking. Just tell me. Well, you do have your little detective hat on in the opening. Yeah, let's. Okay. Reader? Me? I do have all the. Who the hell is that? I don't know who that is. Okay. Is that cheating or is that just being smart? You've creeped me out. Normally, teachers have the exam written already. Think about it. It's a teacher. I don't know. Like, attend the study session then. People at university do this all the time. If you attend the classes, they'll just basically tell you the questions. Okay, it's time to go. Sucks that the teacher just let that student take the blame though. That's kind of funny. Teachers suck in this show. Think about the one back in Atori. That guy sucked too. But I'm not. I'm kind of a vampire. Hmm. Hmm. I think you have some kind of motivation. Shut up. No one cares. You're evil. Yeah, but who cares? It's a teacher. Oh, so that's the person that was ticking off her attendance. I see. Oh, okay. Interesting way to look at it, but I think you might have hit the nail on the head actually. Let me leave. Okay, that's it's kind of fucked up. Throw her under the bus. Humans maybe suck. And then you went and sat in that chair that would have been your chair. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. I get it. Kinda. Yeah. So yeah, it actually was. Okay. All right, all right. Okay. Sure. That's cute. Oh. Okay. Good. Yeah. Good. Good for her, I guess. Okay. He thinks he's in a Linkin Park video. What does she become? Oh, hello. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's good to see you, Hanakawa. How so? Why not? Man, I love Hanakawa. A ghost? Who? Oh! Oh! Think about it. Yo! Why is she back? Oikura. And you shouldn't come in here badu timing because you're like mortal enemies. Yeah, of course. Interesting. Oh, she's homeschooled. Yeah, and that's why it's badu timing. Interesting. All right. And that's our jumping off point. What's my conclusion? That's a lot of faffing around for something that could probably be told in maybe 75% of the time. Less even. I don't know. It seemed like we were going back and forth about a lot of stuff with Augie. But it's just her being thorough, which is cool. Visually, the episode was great. The two episodes, I should say. Like, just got a fantastic identity to it. You wouldn't mistake it for any other arc so far. And yeah, seemingly setting up something pretty interesting about Araragi. Augie formula, huh? And clearly we got that going on with our all our math stuff. Araragi used to be a nerd. He got 100%. I'm more keen to talk with Oikura more than anybody else, right? And according to the ED, potentially we will. What is like? It's almost like little boy Araragi. What is that? Radio, after a few trials and tribulations, we finally made our way to the end, and we'll jump into a little bit of analysis on that one. Maybe have a reread on some of the stuff. Maybe find some more stuff in the details that potentially I missed. And we're back. I've just gone and had some toast and a banana, and I'm feeling a little bit more refreshed and ready to dive into those 2 episodes again and see what I potentially missed. Just re-observe what happened there, like get a real good grasp of the mystery and how it happened and what happened to it. Now that I know how it ends, I can see all the little setups and that kind of things, which will be good. I've written here, I could be wrong, and probably am, but like 6 months after spring break, 6 months after I turn into a vampire, would put it around here, which is between August and October. It's like between September and October. This supposedly happened, because if we scroll up, spring break here. So 6 months after that is September, October, I think. Could be wrong. So yeah, this is where Owarimonogatari starts. Augie formula starts. The episode itself starts with Augie explaining Euler's identity, which is a math equation I wasn't familiar with, and it's pretty neat. It's actually the most perfectest thing ever, and Augie's kind of obsessed with how it equals 0. So, I don't know. Maybe if you're more of a math guy, you'd be into this, but yeah, no, I don't know. Sure, whatever you say, Monogatari. We are taken back to the first meeting between Araragi and Augie. That's kind of what this episode is. That's kind of where this is in the timeline. Kambari introduces them because Augie has a problem to do with the mathematical construction of the building of the school. So Araragi goes down to investigate after the alleged weird room that shouldn't be there but is there or something, right? And he's led into a prison of allegedly his own creation, allegedly, based around events that happened at school during his first year. I won't go into all the details of the mystery here, that's more for the next segment, but essentially Araragi was moderated to a class trial, right? They got the wrong person out through democratic vote, which is kind of funny in contrast with what happened with choosing the next arc in the order to watch, which is another question entirely. A little bit of dramatic irony there for sure. And the teacher who was the real culprit of giving away the answers to the math exam, essentially, which is such a who cares problem, but I mean, the 16-year-olds would care about it, I guess. Either way, Oikura, who was the student that got wrongly accused, she left. So she hasn't been at school for years and years and years now. And the teacher just got off scot-free. Is fine, essentially on maternity leave. Good luck to her, and all that jazz. But but maybe have your students back like once. I don't know. Upon admitting that Araragi knew the answer the whole time, essentially as well, and was just kind of not telling himself the answer and not admitting it. The classroom prison opens, but Augie is still being like a sus weirdo about it, right? So let's think about this in context with what we know about Augie now. She likes to see Araragi squirm, right? She's a real meanie like that. So this must have some greater ramification for making Araragi feel bad, correct? Correct and incorrect, I don't know. But yeah, it was all very perfect that she had this information about these terrible things that happened to Araragi, right? It was kind of like she knew everything. But again, we've been through a lot of that last week. Araragi checks back the next day at the classroom where it used to be and is gone. So that's pretty concrete proof that it actually was an aberration of Araragi's own design, and he didn't want to think about it, never went back and checked that classroom, something to that effect. Araragi goes to class the next day, bumps into Hanakawa, which it was good to see. I haven't seen Hanakawa in ages now. And his presence is apparently bad timing, as Oyakura is back at school for the first time in years. So that's where we're jumping off for the next episode. You may have noticed during the recording session there was a little bit of a hiccup. Just my VLC acting weird and telling me that the episode's 48 minutes when it clearly isn't. So I don't know what gives there. But I think we just saw twice as many openings and endings as we should have, and essentially have just done the rest correctly, and I'll try to splice it together in a pretty cool way come the picture-in-picture version. I don't know. But yeah, perfect, proper timing, all this stuff, right? The exact moment that the teacher leaves and Oyakura comes back is when Araragi's getting all this baggage. Is that, story convenience, or is there somebody pulling the strings further along the line? I'm thinking the latter. And yeah, even just me thinking about stuff now, my mind's going in a million different directions, right? We're talking about majority rules at the very start of the episode, right? And majority ended up ruling incorrectly, right? Got the wrong person evicted from the Big Brother house. So how are we going to reconcile that, right? With mathematical perfection versus human emotion versus whatever else. Like, that's essentially where we're going here, especially with that arc title Augie formula. So yeah, I'm going to jump into the episode now, just kind of do both episodes back to back and see what I can see. So yeah, what was confusing for me in the moment is I look at this and I'm like, Owarimonogatari Augie formula. I only read Augie initially and I'm like, Augie arc? And yeah, as it turns out, it allegedly is. Augie's in it. It's more of an Araragi thing so far for mine, at least in a POV sense, but I digress. And we start with the most beautiful mathematical equation of them all, e to the power of I times pi plus 1 equals 0. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. I checked out of math around this point, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask. It's called Euler's identity, the epitome of elegance, combining the basis of a natural logarithm, the imaginary number I, the circumference of the ratio of pi, and the integers 1 and 0. 1 and 0, I can understand. The rest is whatever. Some may argue that this equation is the most powerful possible evidence that God exists. What? Sure. What's interesting, well, essentially what's beautiful about it is that this formula wasn't decided by us. It's beautiful, but when you think about it, it's also frightening. Okay, this is interesting, right? There's maybe a greater force impacting upon things, right? It may seem perfect, but there may be a higher power pulling the strings, right? So it's beautiful, it's perfect, it's proper, but when you think about it, right, it's too proper, it's too perfect, and that's frightening. I think that's what I'm getting from this, right? And that's obviously relating to a lot of Augie stuff. And now that I think about it, right, like too proper, too perfect, too everything, right? Related to a lot of the Hanakawa stuff. Hanakawa has a lot of math iconography within her stuff. Just, making a cohesive visual identity for certain themes in Monogatari for sure. So Augie's obviously a fan of this formula, right? But undeniably sees the dark parts of it as well. And of course highlighting that the solution is 0, right? It all comes back to 0. And because the answer's 0, there's some kind of pointless beauty to it all, and that's Augie's thing, right? When I think of this formula, I think of Oshino Augie, just a constant of the world, assimilating everything. Thus, this story is about mathematics. If the idea of math fills you with apprehension, you might as well call it arithmetic instead. Or even simpler again, just a story of numbers. After all, you'll see, the conclusion is driven by the largest number, and may potentially be incorrect sometimes. It's a story where majority rules, and then we pan over to, this is like that like that Chinese cat, right? Am I dumb? Maybe it's Japanese, I don't know. But it's like Lucky. It's got its hand up. I think we've seen this imagery before somewhere in the show. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they've got their hand up because, we're doing the class vote during the trial. Makes a lot of sense. So Araragi's... Okay, let's talk a little bit like macro about the whole thing, right? Araragi's seen that, the truth could be changed by majority rules and actual feelings don't matter, and that the system may be kind of fucked and not everything's perfect, and it does not pursue individual happiness but only cohesion constructed from consent, right? And that's made him disillusioned with the world, disillusioned with humans, disillusioned with friends. Think about, again, this is leading into Kizu. This is where he first discovered his edgy Kizu philosophy, right? Like, I don't need friends, all that kind of jazz. Having friends makes you less human, which is challenged, of course, by Hanakawa from back in the day. And yeah, like this is the origin story, kinda, right, of edgy teenage Araragi, right? And I found it kind of funny in the moment because I think a lot of teenagers come to this realization and they potentially get a little bit down in the dumps about how the world actually works, and, seeing behind the veil a little bit and seeing the world for what it is, and yeah, it does bum you out. But I think Monogatari's got a good handle on it, because at the end, we come to the conclusion that, hey, human effort good, human emotion good, prioritizing saving people, making the world a little bit better every single day through your actions, and hopefully that collective good will spread out. Effort in the face of external pressure to not is important, and I think that's a good thing that Monogatari is trying to get across overall. It demonstrates character growth through Araragi, is basically what I'm saying, which is good. It's really, really good. So the only thing truly invented by mankind is this justice idea, right? Is this democracy, is this popular vote thing, where the truth can be manipulated. And then, yeah, we've got a lot of, I talked about it in the moment as well, a lot of imagery of galaxies, space, sprawling areas, hugeness, like universal truths to everything, right? Which fits a lot with Augie, who is nothing but all-encompassing. I think what I'm looking at right now is a black hole. Isn't that apt for how Augie is, And then we have a new opening. Very, very cool. As you can see here, it's characterized with a lot of geometric shapes, sharp, robotic angles, that kind of thing, right? It's perfect. It's black and white. There's some kind of absolute logic to it. It's not all over the place. It's not really fun, I would say, either. The music's awesome. It's kind of like this darker synthwave thing that they have going on, which definitely works for me. It's a genre of music I enjoy. And it matches the opening very, very well. I'll read the lyrics. I'll comment on other visual pieces of the opening, and we'll move swiftly on to the conflict of the episode. A lot of imagery of the classroom, of course. Like, we had kind of ceiling lights. We have this now. Makes a lot of sense. She does look kind of cool, though. Now let us open the door and start our adventure, are the first lyrics there. I'm trying to pick up on the voice. I can't tell you if it's Augie's VA or not, because Augie's essentially doing a voice that would be very, very hard to sing in. I'm going to lean towards no, though. Let us find the answer leading to a true and just future. Oh no. We can't. So truth, justice, democracy, black, white, majority rules, voting, lots of different themes coming together here in a very satisfactory way right now. We're turning this classroom upside down as well, pausing on that specific time on the clock that will come back later in the imagery of the opening. I want to do this, I want to do that, enthralled by greed. She does do a little dancer. It's kind of cute. As I commented in the moment too, I'm not a huge sleeves guy. I don't know about the sleeves. I don't want this, I don't want that. I'm full of contradictions. True. This image too, it's like the triangle, and then this is almost like it's almost parabola, I know math, I know some math. Yeah, interesting. Like, just everything in this frame right now could almost be made up of math equations. I find that kind of funny. When we are all present, talking about maybe the class trial, and then obviously there's this clock. When all our lives are present, climbing up to that correct time on the clock, Augie is, right? Always very lackadaisical about things as well. Very, like, it's all going to plan, right? She's very relaxed. She's not very tense, She's intense, but she's not tense, Now let us open the door. And we see the opening is called Decent Black. I don't believe this is Descent. Descent's got an S in there. So Decent Black, which is a really weird way to say that. Now let us open the door and start our adventure. Let us find the answer. diving into like the circle on like the grid paper too. Remember our boundless regret with eyes averted. Eyes averted's interesting, right? That's going back ages now. Here the mistakes we amassed. Yes, there was a mistake amassed, true. With ears held, as we see Augie kind of donning the detective cap and the magnifying glass to try and find the solution, of course. And we see the classroom turn more into a normal classroom instead of this abstracted bunch of mathematical formulas. Kind of like, okay, again, overall, the class is bound by maths everywhere. That's why it makes up so much of the visual design of the episode, right? At the end of the day, they're not using logic or real logic or emotion or anything else to figure things out, right? They're simply going to a democratic process of a vote, and that has led them astray. What we are saying about this is still up for debate. I would imagine it's negative, but that's why the episode is the way it is. That's why the episode stops turning into mathematical formulas and stuff once we solve the actual crime. Interesting. With ears held, pray we don't do it again. As we see this, right? Like, okay. Like, like Augie within Augie, through the screen, through the story, right? Like, I'm the detective at every piece of this process, but at the end of the day, I'm just like watching it on a screen. I know how it's going to play out. I feel some sort of separation there. Again, like she's watching her own story, who's watching her own story, who's watching her own story, and we're one step of the process as well as the audience. Just a fantastic shot. Love it. It's kind of like my OBS when I get it up on the monitor as well. That's kind of funny. And the thing that's weird about this is we just start in this classroom immediately, and I'm like, But again, it's a classroom that isn't complete, that is set in black and white, has mathematical shit all over the place, but in the background there's that larger universal truth to it all. There's that galaxy that'll keep coming back as a piece of visual language of the episode, of the two episodes, I should say. Even from the very start of the episode, right? We're saying a lot visually because I want to get it out of the way now because it's a lot of what's going on visually in the episode. The most random part is we're just kind of thrust straight into this without the establishing stuff that comes a little bit later. And yeah, so he's locked in this classroom with Augie. He needs advice from somebody that's potentially been in a similar situation. The lock room has been set. I commented immediately in the aftermath of that episode that I think a lot of it could be done with less time. A lot of it is Augie being very particular with words and repeating herself and establishing things. I didn't really feel that lost throughout the episode, really, because they go and back and really explain things pretty well. But as a result, it's kind of paced. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it would cope on a rewatch, is my point. These windows can be unlocked with a lock, but then she flicks the lock down. Is that a piece of imagery invoking the potentially she set this up, right? Because that's the implication, right? She's the one that brought Araragi here and then solved the thing. What is your overall thing? You like to make Araragi feel bad. You like to be mean to him, right? Why? Why do you like to do that? This is also in service of like taking him back to a darker point in his life. You're a true antagonistic force there. Like, it just fits that Augie would be somewhat responsible for the creation of this as well. Cool, so this is where we get that indicator that Augie is Oshino's niece, right? Before we get the confirmation later, but of course we know that because we've seen the rest of the show. This line here, this takes Araragi back. It's one of her uncle's favorite lines, and kind of works in context with Araragi saying that Kambaro may potentially find us and let us out. People can only save themselves. Araragi, you can only get out of this situation by actually facing your demons from the past. So the next thing we notice is that the hands of the clock aren't moving, right? 6 p.m., that's the time that everybody needs to leave school, essentially, right? It's just before that time. There's clearly some lingering hope, lingering desire around this point of time at this certain date that we eventually get to from Araragi. And this is where I'm getting the timeline stuff from. This story begins exactly half a year after I was bitten. So you'd think that like 6 months after spring break. That would put us around where we should be. It makes sense with the rest of the Orgy stuff we've seen. So the thing that would take place immediately before this would have been Neko Shiro as well as Kabuki. In August, of course. I guess Orgy meeting Araragi in September makes sense there, because when we're retelling Kabuki, it's telling it like it happened in the past, because it did. And then, of course, Orgy's stuff about math being proper, how does that fit into our whole traffic light thing? Like, it just makes perfect sense. It's all coming together a little bit, even exactly 6 months after he was bitten, after the events of Kizumonogatari, right? Like at that exact point, at that exact perfect point, at an exact half, this is when she shows up back. Like, was it coincidence? Probably not, Kambaro runs into the room and introduces herself as Kambaro Saruga, which is very funny. I don't know why. And yeah, there's a little creepy gremlin over there I want to introduce you to. But yeah, apparently Orgy wants to talk to Araragi about aberrations. Which piques his interest, of course. She seems to know a thing or two. She knows about my left arm and your blood too. I would imagine that is pertaining to vampire stuff. And yeah, she's Oshino-san's niece, as we know. Araragi kind of gets lost in Orgy's eyes here, right, and doesn't really listen to what she's saying, right? Just kind of hears those words like, it's suspicious, it's strange, it's incorrect, right? Like, doesn't really listen to the rest of what she's saying, and just kind of makes up some stuff that she wasn't talking about at all. This floor plan is odd, potentially even unnatural, not perfect, not proper, right? We need to go down and have a look. So here's the floor below, is the one on the bottom page there, right? And then the middle floor, and then the one above, right? It looks like one of the rooms has been artificially lengthened, which I didn't get in the moment. So even, okay. So even if the plan is correct, it's also not perfect, and that's what's like causing her ire, I guess. Like, there's a room that's about 50% longer than the other ones, and if you were designing a building, why would you do that? Of course, I'm attracted to fools that fall for stuff easily, and then brings him into that situation. That's very fourth wall-y, along with this line about, in a mystery novel, if there was a sketch that does not conform to reality, then indicates a hidden room. Yeah, we're reading a mystery novel, I know. Like, it just, yeah, she's doing Orgy stuff. She's doing Gaia Nezuko adjacent stuff where she just knows more than she should. Well, this is great with the shadows too, like growing as they start to talk about aberrations, right? Kind of the long, drawn out, kind of blown out windows, the sunlight fading in, causing that shadow. White, black, light, dark, lots of Orgy stuff there. And then, yeah, I said in the moment that this is giving me like Hyoka vibes, right? Where it's something very, very school adjacent, which we haven't really done in Monogatari for our mysteries, right? So in Hyoka, if you don't know, it's about Oreki Hotoro. He goes through and he solves different mysteries, and it's another show based on a light novel, and it's very wordy, and I think it's very good, and it's giving me similar vibes here, just kind of, a character going through and explaining things in great detail. Like the way that Orgy delivers the lines is always like I'm leading you on, like I'm acting, right? Like I'm trying to convince you of something. Like, when I came over here to do my sketch, this room wasn't here. What? But it sounds like she already knew it was there. What gives? So then Araragi heads inside, sees a very familiar classroom. That door shuts, and we're exactly where we were in the very start of the episode. What kind of aberration would make this room? I'm not privy to my uncle's arcane knowledge. I call bullshit on that. But yeah, essentially we learn by the end that it's of Araragi's own making, right? It's that lingering guilt that made this room. It draws a little, I don't even know what you'd call this, but there's a love heart at the top. It's almost like they love each other. Aberrations tend to have proportionate reasons, which means unraveling the reason why will help us lead to escape from here, right? Like, just looking at this episode is kind of a disaster, but I love it. It's a bunch of like Matrix like stuff. You know what I mean? Like all the different shapes, and it looks like a video game glitch. And it's kind of scary, but I kind of love it. And then we go into the time on the clock, and then that gets us into going into the past stuff. It's basically Augie leading us perfectly where we need to go at every single point. Of course, it's 6 o'clock. The kids don't go home until 6. Perhaps it's a study session. Like, just pushing him in the right direction. Study session thinks back to a simpler time, potentially, or maybe a more difficult time, right? Here. Right? We just get flashes of it before we're getting the full flashback later on. Like, just, yeah, have you ever participated in a study session before? Like, you're obviously... Augie's a very frustrating character, right? Because I feel like the characters are smarter than this. I feel like Aragi's smarter than this to see that he's being manipulated here, to see that he's being pushed in a certain direction. Maybe he already knows subconsciously. I don't know. But on screen, it's just like... Somebody call her out on it, please, for being a weirdo. Like, it works better when she's adjacent to characters like Nadeko, who are very innocent and sweet, and, when that happens, it's terrible, right? And Augie just said the right thing at the right time and pushed a certain person in the right direction. When it's Araragi, who we know is a little bit more savvy with this stuff, it comes across a little bit weirder. But I guess she's just hitting on a pain point, a place of personal insecurity for Araragi. I don't know. It's a weird one. Like, thinking back to first year, right? Just that flashback again before Augie, like, puts a freaking head in the way. Like, right here. Scary. Jump scare. He says he's a bit dizzy. Oh, he needs to go pick a seat, right? Have a sit down. The seat where Araragi chooses to sit, right? It's his old seat from this classroom during his first year. But he also remembers this seat because secretly he's traumatized by the ending of that class trial. This is where the teacher was sitting, the eventual culprit of what was going on, the cheating saga, I guess, right? I think I said before as well that between this and Owarimonogatari, like, teachers, they hate teachers in this show. Like, teachers are just, they're scumbags. And of course, I have friends that are now teachers as well, which is kind of funny. Something about growing up, they're very, 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 very much not different from you and I, obviously, right? Where they feel so alien when you're in high school, right? They're just people, obviously. But yeah, asking that question of why you sit here, right? Why did you sit in that specific spot? That leads us down the rabbit hole even further. Music's doing a great job, lingering tension, just kind of building in the background, right? Peaking at the right moments. Obviously, very well musically directed, which is something that I'm a huge fan of, right? That I've commented on from very early in this channel's history. It's essential to making a good show good, musical direction. We get a little bit of our spotlight stuff going on, a little bit of our Kaiki stage metaphor, of course, right? As we're, again, Augie pushing him in the right direction to start telling the tale of the class trial. Again, it's almost like you knew the solution and are just essentially playing this out to get the emotional response out of Araragi, which is negative, right? It throws him for a loop. There's also some perfect timing around the presence of Oikura by the end, which I feel like is planned by Augie as well. This is interesting too, right? Araragi-senpai, didn't you say the view from this window was familiar? Now I've watched through the episode again, and he most definitely doesn't say this, right? But Araragi is eventually convinced by just her absolute assuredness that he did say it, right? Oh, maybe I did say it, right? Like, you didn't. You're being manipulated, obviously. Yeah, and now he's thinking about it even more, right? Just, again, pushed. And starts to rethink that situation way back in the day, the situation that maybe he's mentally blocked out. So, okay, we're breaking out of the kind of rigidness of everything, right? The technology type look, it's turning very fuzzy, very liquid, and he falls into it, he almost drowns into the darkness before being revived back in the flashback, right? Like, I would love to relate this like mathematical purity, exactness, all these other things, right? Like planned versus unplanned, like human versus robotic, like that kind of vibe, right? As he sinks further down, this is a very organic looking classroom now, and as he falls down into it, it's kind of the conflict between the kind of rigid technology stuff and the math and the nature, the human. That's what I'm seeing visually anyway, but it may be a little bit more far-fetched than I normally go with visual stuff. But again, the most obvious thing is kind of drowning in that old memory, right? Like something that's like a darkness from my past dragging me down in a way, like suffocating me. Again, death, unnatural end. The other thing is that the tables and chairs are going every which way, right? They eventually like blurred into space at one point as well, but they all become very rigid when Oyakura gets the attention of the classroom again. Like visually, we're going for rigidness versus like 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 curves, lines, spaciousness, randomness. Yeah, lots of different stuff, right? Like art versus science in a way too. Yeah, there's lots going on here. Like, yeah, she definitely isn't villainous. This isn't the most famous villainous pose ever that she's doing right now. Not at all. I didn't remember anything because I didn't forget it. I could never forget any of it. Reaches into the desk, pulls out his own textbook. There's a great drama to this though, right? And like I love the kind of bobby animation on Augie here as well, right? Like here. Like just kind of popping out of nowhere. Augie, do you know something? No, I don't know anything. You're the one that knows everything, Araragi. Cap, you're lying. You clearly know. It's July 15th. It's right at the end of the day. Araragi's having memories about math through the textbook. It's all coming back to him. Like, it's all just building upon itself. That date most definitely wasn't on the blackboard before, but now it is because Augie said so. But this particular classroom was on the 5th floor, not the 3rd floor, of the building opposite the gym. There was a class trial in this room, like during Araragi's first year, that Augie has caught wind of, apparently. And yeah, Araragi was the center of the judicial maelstrom, which is definitely a way to say it. He was the moderator of the class trial. That was when it started to begin. I started to believe that I don't need friends. Araragi's internal thoughts were interrupted by Augie's dialogue. It's like she's in his head. It's like she knows everything. Having friends makes you less human. That's obviously our stuff from Kizumonogatari coming back. You used to say that often, before being pulled out of that by Hanakawa. You just met me today. How do you know this much about me? We're not asking these questions of Augie, because, again, I don't know why. I don't know why. We're changed by the people we meet. How did this class change you? Of course, it led to Araragi's, I guess, lack of faith in humanity in a way, right? In authority, in justice as a system, in lots and lots of stuff, right? Is this one of the main aspects of his personality change, right? It's told, a number of times that he's changed throughout his life, but a notable one happening between middle school and high school, where he was, really good student, that side of it, right? But through high school, he's kind of been all over the place. And he's coming back around now. He's back to studying, but obviously he got 100% of the exam. He must be pretty good. He's definitely not pretty good now, right? Something may have changed, especially about his faith in mathematics, his faith in school, his faith in teaching, his faith in that system. And now Araragi finally starts to tell the story. No one was allowed out of the classroom. It was a class trial. It was about a math exam, but anyway. Yeah, and finally we're jumping into our flashback, which I think is some of the more interesting stuff. So we're at Naoetsu High School. We see a new character design, ooh-wah, and this kind of blown out hallway that we saw briefly flashed on the screen during Araragi when he was kind of remembering things. So this is Oikura Sodachi. She's got twin tails. She's twirling them around. She's wearing the school uniform. She's got like silver hair, which is weird. She seems pretty uptight. She seems very rules conscious. She really wants to get to the bottom of this cheating thing, obviously, right? She clearly hates Araragi and is jealous of his academic prowess at this point as well. She's also called Euler, but most call her How Much, right? So Euler relates to Euler's identity, which was a mathematical equation that equaled 0, but also was perfect. This is a lot of the stuff that we're probably going to dive into when we see her next week. Calling her a calculating person as well, right? She's the one that suggested the democratic vote, which is cool too, right? But not so cool when it turns back on her, but fits a lot with what her personality looks like from her character design and how she's been described so far. She seems very tense, kind of like a bitch, but, something pretty bad happens to her, so I don't know. It's hard to call her names at this point, let's put it that way. So clearly she's got a bit of an inferiority thing with Araragi, because she's like, okay, I've called everybody here, the meeting has been called, essentially run by me. Araragi, you're better at me than math. Why don't you go and do this whole thing, right? Why? You clearly feel way more passionately about it than I do, but you're making Araragi do it because you kind of hate him, right? Then we see the classroom, everybody's name and the color probably denoting gender. If we look here, I think this is the desk in question, this one here. Female name, probably the teacher, you would think, right? What we don't see at the moment is Senjugahara, who's sitting in that main character seat, which is funny. Well, this was cool too, this kind of transition, right? So from here to here, perfect, great. Like that same view of the classroom, and where's Araragi sitting? Just where I was pointing. Good. Again, to this theme of, relating to, I guess, a way grander scale than what high school deserves. We have time flies, it has been eons. No, not eons, only 2 years. Right, of course. And that little, text change, So Araragi missed that there was a meeting because he didn't get notified by anybody in the classroom, right? He wasn't really close to people like that. I think Augie says something to the effect of, oh, you're even all alone even now, which, like Augie's trying to isolate Araragi, so this makes a lot of sense. Like that line. Yeah, this is the story of how somebody with no friends decided that he didn't need friends anyway, right? But yeah, okay, so now we're diving into it. I think that this conflict is weird. This exam thing. Why does everybody care so much? Maybe the schooling culture in this particular school, in this particular country, in Japan, is very, very different to Australian, but who cares if a bunch of people cheated on the test, right? And who cares if a teacher facilitated it, right? Like, I don't know. Sucks to be you, I guess, but get over it. Also, I would just leave the classroom. Like you're not. Who cares? Who cares who you are? You're not the. Like, who cares? I'm just leaving. But again, for the conflict to work, we need people to care, so they care. Just took me out of it, probably a little bit more than it probably should have. And again, this thing about teachers, if you pay attention in class, teachers will tell you exam questions all the time. Happened all through university for me, happened all through high school as well. If you go to those study sessions, they will set you up to succeed. You're already showing that initiative that you want to get better. They're going to help you to do that. I don't know. It's a weird one. So Senjugahara's presence here also indicates that it's pretty serious because she doesn't always make school because of the whole frailty thing because of her weight. If she's here, then everybody's here, right? So there was a math study session for everybody that's interested. Oikura was there too. This is something I missed. She also attended the session. So yeah, there was an average discrepancy of 20 exam points between those that attended that study session and those that didn't. So that tells me that the teacher told some of the answers right. But of course, as I've said before, who cares? There's a lot of visual stuff about Augie having the same position in the room as an Oyakura as well. And then Oyakura relinquished that position to Araragi, as I'm seeing as kind of a punishment, right? You're smarter than me, you solve it. So yeah, he had the best math mark, so he was chosen. This is the justification, but it also feels like something that Oyakura just made up. So who didn't take place in this session and also had a really good mark? Araragi's the one remaining. Kind of playing musical chairs in the visual language here as well, which I found quite endearing. Yeah, Oyakura pathologically hates me because I'm good at math. She is convinced that nobody will call her Euler because I get better marks than her. Who fucking cares? Get over it. Alright, and then we get a lot of Augie touching and strangling, constricting Araragi. Really, again, pushing him in those right directions. We see this galaxy imagery come through a little bit more as well. There's 19 students selected that attended the session, but apparently the class meeting didn't uncover the culprit, right? It just, we chose somebody. And then, yeah, Augie gets the idea, but again, she probably already knows that we need to solve this class trial to get out of the room, to find the real culprit. And it's less about Araragi figuring it out. It's more about him admitting it to himself and reliving and reopening these old wounds from the past, the old him. But why is Araragi here? Potentially he's the one most haunted by this class meeting that happened in the past. Your life was fundamentally changed on that day, and we need to go back and see why. Orgy just really likes fucking with this guy, doesn't she? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, time to solve the mystery. We dive into the ED here, which was very confusing. Again, even still now, it says that I have 22 minutes left in this episode. That is just not accurate. But yeah, new ED. Babe, wake up, new Monogatari ED to look at. Yeah, of course we're using this similar visual style as we do with a lot of the EDs. This one particularly, it got me. It's quite emotional. The visuals are really nice. I like the journey aesthetic that we're going off to the horizon with whoever's on this cart with me. And yeah, the backgrounds are really good. Don't know what else to say about it really. I guess I'll read the lyrics. I hear your laughter beyond the door. You were supposed to be with me forever. This visual here is great. Kind of Araragi sitting alone, a larger, more foreboding, like kind of trickster Orgi looking on, taking up the entirety of the wall. And we get little flashes here of Oyakura, Araragi, and Orgi just kind of waving her sleeves, pulling the strings all along. As we break out of that classroom and we go on a little bit of an adventure, we have that one window left, that same window at the very start of the opening. We have kind of a cart on a track, right? A plan going to that destination, but there's another vehicle on top of it. There's also a school desk and Araragi sitting not looking forward, right? We're on Orgi's magical mystery ride. That's what I'm getting from this. I breathed onto the classroom window and wrote your name, only to panic and wipe it with my sleeve. Sleeve? Sleeve check? I heard your voice from the hallway and went home in a hurry to hide my feelings. Sure. This isn't really tracking with a lot of the rest of the show for me. But sure. It's just very like some dorky stuff. At some point I became unable to talk to you normally. And then yeah, we're kind of going through the mines here a little bit. I hear your laughter from beyond the door. You were supposed to be with me forever. I thought this may be the case as we're passing this kind of subway station here. We see all the different characters in the show. Loads of them, actually. With all their little intrinsic designs. We have, is that Hanakawa? Looks like Hanakawa. Especially with, it's almost like cat ears at the top. Pushing Orgi off the track. Which is funny. Then we have Araragi riding with Oyakura towards, I don't know what that is in the background there, but sure, it looks kind of like a woman. But I don't really know. Again, it's like this really like old mathematical construction that's kind of falling apart in a way. I don't know. You knew how I felt even when I said nothing. Now I know how important you were to me, but we will never see each other again. Oh no, this is interesting. We see like an Oyakura and Araragi when they were very young, riding off on the ocean instead of into the distance as they were before. Araragi instead, now that desk is out of the way and he's taking control of the situation a little bit more. I don't know, and we've replaced Orgi with Oyakura, of course. Orgi being pushed off by a Hanakawa. Interesting. This Oyakura character is coming out of nowhere, huh? And then, yeah, this episode stops here. I'll get the next one up. It was very confusing in the moment, but I'm glad we got out of it okay. So this episode here inexplicably starts with just like a bunch of character names that I was never going to remember. But it was also very funny, so shout outs. So yeah, we can get into the weeds of a lot of the class trial here, but I think it's easier for me to just go, hey, Oyakura gets framed by democracy and something else, right? Like, again, the situation that she put up to vote, right? And the teacher gets away scot-free. I don't think going into the weeds here is all that important. Of course, I'll note things that are particularly of note, but other than that, I think we'll just, get to the meat. I do like this. There's kind of a piece of imagery, potentially, of each character on their desk, rather than what they actually are. They're just whatever their quirk is, So this is important. Tetsujo, who is the teacher, helped her because she arrived early too. So the board evidently had stuff on it. It was wiped off by Tetsujo, right? Oyakura couldn't forgive that exam questions were being passed out. She was persistent about continuing this figuring out who the culprit is ordeal. She was the one driving it. Until I determine the culprit, I won't let anyone out of this classroom. This is what Oyakura is thinking. And then, yeah, it sounds like an ugly situation. I could see how you embraced a deep hatred for the human animal amid that chaos. I don't know if we're that intense. So it wasn't the argument that drove him to hate humans or hate friends or whatever his philosophy was back in the day. It was the conclusion. It wasn't the arguing. It was what happened in the end. So we didn't find the culprit, but that doesn't mean we didn't determine who it was, right? That was the cause of my despair. So yeah, I found it funny when we're talking about despair, class trials. I don't know. I was thinking Danganronpa through this for sure. I love this shot too. Kind of just Augie sneaking in, slithering in like a snake, continuing to constrict him. You know, squeeze this answer out of him, you could say. Yeah, Augie says, how I wish everybody lived happily after witnessing that unruly human garbage, right? And a couple characters do live unhappily, say like a Tetsujo, right? The teacher. Oyakura most certainly doesn't, right? We did not find happiness during this process. But then what did we find? We found that the system sucks. The system's a little bit corrupt and fucky. And then, yeah, we get our visual of how this moment took place in the moment, which is good. I do find it weird that Araragi still got his, like, more adult voice and mannerisms as a 16-year-old. I don't know. A lot of human development happens through those years. Potentially, you could have character designed him down a little bit more. I don't know. I guess the summer uniform does a lot. The short sleeves, the less officialness of it all. So then, yeah, this is essentially hell. We like hear an argument break out between all these different people, and like I just want to go home. Like honestly, if I was Senju Gahara sitting in that corner, I'd jump out that window rather than listen to a bunch of people argue that I don't care about. But again, that order, that shaking in the middle, that kind of that drama, and then here's the class plan on the outside. This is the order to it all. And then, yeah, this is where the chaos comes in, right? Almost like molecular chaos. Where it's almost universal. It's extremely small. There's shit flying everywhere. There's desks flying everywhere. There's chaos. You would call it chaos, right? Chaos versus order is probably a big theme that I probably could have said earlier. I've been explaining it, but just not very well. Chaos versus order. That's definitely what we're doing. And yeah, Araragi, of course, being the moderator, trying to make sure that everybody has their say in the right order, and we come to a hasty conclusion by the time the bell goes. This is also an element of why Araragi probably feels strongly for it, right? He was the one that said, hey, the bell's gonna go. We need to come to a decision, right? And that's when Oyakura hastily suggested just a vote. It's very funny. As I said in the moment, it's not it's not unlike high school students, 16-year-olds, emotional teenagers, to just get like way too mean about this kind of stuff. It's such a who cares for mine. Like who cares? But it's very, very high school, and that's kind of where we're coming at it from. Like calling for Araragi to do his duty in the middle of this, he gets to running, of course, as shown here, over to Oyakura to ask her what to do. Yeah, the swirling colors going everywhere, the desks, it's just the music thumping, it's building, it's fantastic. And here it is, running over to Oyakura in this same kind of disheveled, weird, glitchy classroom that we've seen before, asking her what to do. This can't continue, I can't control it. Because I couldn't control this chaos, a bad thing ended up happening to Oyakura, and a good thing ended up happening to the rest of the system, and this contributed to my feeling the way I felt at the start of Kizumonogatari, right? The whole friends make you less human idea. So Araragi giving up despite having the highest score. Nobody going home until the culprit is determined. We can't do that. We must all go home when the bell rings. You know that. She gets really pissed off. I hate you. Before she goes to the front of the room and brings some order to the chaos. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But of course, the irony here is this is her own undoing. And then this is what I thought, right? That a large section of the class colluded to turn you, Araragi-senpai, into the culprit. Of course this would make somebody like an Araragi bitter and twisted about humanity and friends and the classroom setting, right? But no, we go one step deeper, and we use Oyakura as a bit of a scapegoat. Yeah, I think this is the twist, right? You think this is building up to Araragi getting voted off the island, but the suspect number 6 collected the most votes, that being Oyakura. Again, ironic. And then, yeah, this kind of lucky cat with the paw up as our kind of imagery for voting, like this. And yeah, it sent her away from school. She never came back, neither to exams nor to class. But she's still covered for attendance. But by somebody on the senior class record. It's the teacher. The teacher was responsible. So, yeah, of course, this has disillusioned Araragi to school in a similar way, right? Where he stopped attending as much. I felt an unspecific but lasting guilt for going to a school that Oyakura did not attend. Interesting. And this classroom's kind of the manifestation of that. I also never again scored full marks in mathematics, probably because you didn't study as hard, right? Seeing how it could be fucked with like that. No, the academic institution of a school, how could it be fucked with? No! I don't know. So yeah, we justify Oyakura not actually being the culprit, despite attending the study session. She would have no reason to plan this class trial if she was the culprit. She would have just gotten away with it. She was the one that orchestrated all of this. Why would she do that if she was the culprit, right? I think at the end of the day, maybe Oyakura was driven by wanting to get that top position, right? By wanting to drag Araragi down and thought that this was maybe a good way to do it, right? Make Araragi the moderator, make people think that Araragi is the one that did it. I don't know. Maybe something in that. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a weird theory. But again, like Augi's all over Araragi still, right? Just like around the neck, constricting, controlling, manipulating. These kind of vibes, I think. All that body contact. And yeah, this is it, right? I didn't see anybody conspiring. I didn't see anybody like twisting things. I just saw justice being decided. I saw each individual make their collective decision, which created the truth. And yeah, again, losing sight in the system itself, which is hugely demoralizing, especially for somebody like Araragi that's been so trustworthy of the system in the past, right? When he used to be a good boy. Think about it. Think about it in contrast with like Justice and his relationship with his parents, right? Who are cops. Something there maybe as well. The Fire Sisters, the Justice Sisters, right? His own siblings. He said he lost faith in justice a long time ago during one of the arcs in the past, I think I remember. Maybe this is when, I think, right? That would make sense. Yeah, that's great. That's bringing something together from an older part of the text to now, right? Justifying something that happened in the past. And I think this line here probably says it best. If many people acknowledge something, even if it's false, cruel, or stupid, I realize that it can become true and just. Very, very true about the human condition and the justice system. The truth can be mass-produced like toy cars. He's woke as hell, dude. The right number of people established what is true and just. Majority can manufacture justice. Majority rules in this system. Democracy sucks. Seize the means of production. I think that's what he's saying here. No, but to be real, it's kind of really funny. The whole democratic poll making me watch this over Koyomi Monogatari. I think that's just very funny, right? Certain people will see the dramatic irony for sure, I'm guessing. And here's the kicker. Araragi chose isolation over desolation. He didn't want to be involved in the system. He didn't want friends. He didn't want any of this human construction stuff. Democracy. I'm not going to make any friends. I'm going to be a loner. I'm going to be an edgy boy. And then, yeah, he's trying to bring full circle to this right now, right? Like, this is the story. I finished it. Wasn't a big deal in the end. I'm okay. But no, the narrative's not ready for you to feel better yet, Araragi, because we're still trapped in this room. Great change from the green background to the red here, just showing the intensity of it all. We're not done here. There's more to dig up. So, of course, the furthering of this story serves to, highlight this lack of justice and faith in the system even more. The arbiter of truth, the authority in school, right? The teachers. A teacher lied? No way. What? So Araragi needs to deal with that, right? And he needs to come to terms with that, and he needs to face that information now. Deep down he knows, but he needs to say it. Araragi tries to justify that this room is still the creation of Oyakura's, malice at the situation, of her, that side of it. It's her creation. But no, it's yours, Araragi, right? Your heart gave rise to this classroom. Why does it still feel so broken? Aberrations have proportionate reasons. His own thoughts here, his own damage here, his own guilt here are proportionate enough to make this room, which is telling, right? And then, yeah, Augi's obviously calling him out here. You know the real culprit too. Tell me, feel that despair, The reason Araragi feels sorry for Oyakura subconsciously is because he already knows as well. I've said it a number of times. It's the teacher. The teacher has a justifiable reason of wanting to up the average of everybody in the class because it makes them look like a better teacher. Always Augi just pushing things, I'm not pushing this, you're pushing this. This is yours, Araragi. You know everything, I know nothing. which is just incorrect, right? But yeah, this individual theme that I haven't quite got a grasp on yet. But we're going to continue watching. And yeah, exercising aberrations, similar to solving mysteries. Reader, you now have all the clues. Let's see. Augie comes right in and says that it's Tetsujo, the teacher. One of the biggest clues, obviously, being this seat. The teacher was sitting in his seat. The classroom was full. The only empty seat was Oikura's. The teacher who's normally up the front of the classroom was occupying my seat. So Araragi, it wasn't that you weren't permitted to sit down by Oikura. Perhaps you weren't able to sit down in the first place because, you didn't have your desk. It was occupied. And of course, the teacher has access to the exam questions. He just tunes the study session to be the exact exam questions, right? So I think part of the thing here is that so there's the part about the blackboard, but it's also like it's weird. Like teachers normally have the exams prepped ages before they're actually sat. Did she just do the study session and then just randomly on a whim adjusted the exam to match that study session? I thought that she would have already known what the exam was. I don't know, weird one. But yeah, we're doing a weird chicken egg thing there. And then yeah, here's the justification. It's a pointless crime if a student does it. You want to deviate from the mean if you're a student. You don't want to help everybody. The only party here that would want to adjust the entire class's score is the teacher. And look at this, just absolute like Augie solving the mystery, being the detective, dominating Araragi with this position. And then yep, like easy as that, I've solved it, I can get out of this room. It's like you knew from the beginning, huh? And then yeah, this is weird, right? Like you're free to leave, Araragi. It's like that's a weird thing to say. Vampires need permission to enter rooms and buildings. I can't say I've ever had trouble doing that. Shinobu has her ways. Anyway, this was not about being able to leave instead of enter, so I wanted to reference it, just to put you at ease. That made it sound like you imprisoned me here, Augie-chan. She most certainly did. From watching this again, she knew everything at a certain point. It was just pushing you, fucking with you, essentially. Like, it's just classic Augie stuff. And then, yeah, Augie has a chance to psychoanalyze Araragi. When your teacher, a moral figurehead, cheated, you must have felt betrayed for 2 years. I'm just clearing up your baggage. I'm doing a good thing for you. Tetsujo then atoned by keeping Oikura from failing classes due to lack of attendance. And then, yeah, so I thought, oh yeah, that's good. And then Araragi immediately, like, no, she didn't atone at all. That's self-serving, right? She wants to believe she's a great human being. She's actually not helping her. She's not atoning for throwing her under the bus. She's just making her feel better by doing that. If she really wanted true justice, she would confess. And then, yeah, like finally, like in this final moment, Augie still doesn't let him leave, and he needs to go into what his despair actually was. And here it is. The teacher voted for Oikura. That's why it's self-serving. One black cat, huh? And now you're allowed to leave. You told me your despair. You're allowed to leave. Perfect. Like you knew it from the start. And now we're out of the scary murder classroom and can move on to other stuff that's happening in the plot. This is Araragi going back to that classroom space, seeing that there's actually no classroom there, and being freaked out a little bit. Hey, it actually was an aberration. It isn't that I forgot. It was something that was created and then solved from my baggage, right? It was actually that big. It was actually weighing on me that much. And from this head position, he's clearly pretty devastated about it, right? He's like, fuck. Yeah, there was just nothing here. Not then, not now. Goose egg. 0, right? There was nothing. 0. Blackness. No light. Like all these themes coming together. Even this roof. Look at these circles. That's mental. And Tetsujo, the teacher, isn't in the staff room anymore. She's on maternity leave, so she's out of here. She's out of the picture, and when she's out of the picture, Oikura's back. What gives? It's perfect timing, isn't it? Perfect, proper, all this shit. When she raised her hand at that time 2 years ago, she stopped being a teacher or an adult to me. Probably became nothing. Just nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing in my brain. I forgot she existed. Oh, she's on maternity leave? Oh, okay, sure. Turning everything to 0. The same way that he doesn't see classmates anymore, right? He only sees people important to him because he turned it to 0. He didn't want to think about it anymore. He took it out of his field of view. But this is someone he certainly didn't take out of his field of view. It's so nice to see Hanakawa again. Love Hanakawa. Love Hanakawa. It's battle timing, though, and I'll just come right out and say it. It's because Oikura's back at school for the first time in a long time. So in a very cute and endearing way, she pushes him out of the way, goes right up next to him, and tells him the goss. There's the kicker, Oikuro-san's back, don't come in, she probably hates you. It's like she switched places with Tetsujo-san, right? Araragi, didn't you get along with her, right? Didn't you not get along with her? And then, yeah, that's our ending to the episode, right back into the ED. So, yeah, what did I think of these 2 episodes? Extremely, extremely interesting. Going into a lot of Araragi's past and telling it in a pretty interesting way. I lamented a little bit of the pacing. It's still not great. Could be paced a little bit faster. I think we could have got through this content a little bit bigger, but I think it helps to build tension and make Augie feel foreboding, which he should. Augie's still clearly very sus and hates Araragi for undisclosed reason and wants to isolate him and nothing and blankness and proper and perfect and traffic lights and all her different themes, right? Order, black and white, justice now. Lots of stuff. Araragi learned a lot about himself. I loved how the episode told Augie pushing Araragi in different directions. I love the episode aesthetically. I think it's downright brilliant at points. I like the contrast between chaos and order that we did as well. I think the new opening's very cool. The new ED's very beautiful as well. Lots to like here. Lots to like, absolutely. Taking us, back to, let's say back to September. Back to September, October. That's kind of where we are at this moment in time. Kind of that Augie origin story in a way. Or maybe there's even more. Probably there's even more, you'd think. Looking forward to more next week. Stopping points are always appreciated, so please let me know. Just my shill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation. Comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord. Join Discord. Love Discord. Discord. Tell me lots about Monogatari on the Discord. It's been fun these past couple days, actually. I'll catch you guys next week for more Monogatari goodness. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.